right. Thank you, and welcome to this 2 p.m. meeting of the Sacramento City Council. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Of course, thank you. Councilmember Kaplan. Here. Councilmember Tao. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes. Here. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Here.
Councilmember Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
I'm here, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Councilmember Vang.
Here.
We expect Mayor Steinberg momentarily, and Vice Mayor Maple.
I am here. Thank you so much. And then Councilmember Kaplan, would you please join us or lead us in the land acknowledgement and the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
All right, please rise for the opening acknowledgements in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintun peoples, and the people of Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's histories, contributions, and lives. Thank you. Please remain standing. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Thank you so much, Councilmember Kaplan. And we're going to start off our day with a really special presentation presented by Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. It is my honor and just a humbled opportunity to bring up to the podium the very reverent, the good-hearted, and the committed Sacramentan, Faith Whitmore. Let's give her a big round of applause. Mr. Mayor, you came for an amazing presentation.
I entered belatedly at the right time just to be able to look at Faith Whitmore and say thank you. Because, may I?
Of course.
I have known Pastor Whitmore, Faith, for probably the entire time of my public service and more. And she is one of the most exemplary leaders that I have known in those 3+ decades. That rare combination of fight, of principle, of kindness, of faith, no pun intended, and really just a dear person. And you look at the journey of your career and the different things you have done, different, but all kind of with the same theme, caring about vulnerable people. Thank you, Faith. Can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, me too. Thank you.
Mayor. We are here all today to not only congratulate but recognize Faith here for her retirement in service as the executive director of the Sacramento Regional Family Justice Center. And I think the mayor said it best. That there are people in our community who are experts and committed, passionate in their career, and then there are those who not only do that but go beyond their call and bring people together, unite people together. Faith had the opportunity to serve as a pastor for 30 years with United Methodist here in Sacramento. She also was the executive director at Francis House from 2011 to 2013. She then went on and said, we need to change public policy and make sure that we're working with our constituents, and served with Congressman Ami Bera as the first district director, interfacing community with government. And then after that, during the time of the leadership of President Pro Tem of the California State Senate, Darrell Steinberg, she was recognized as Woman of the Year in 2010. Right as she retired and was ready to take on her own personal life, she decided to take on a new role, and that is in the creation and the executive director of the first Family Justice Center, the Sacramento Regional Family Justice Center here in Sacramento. And that's when I got an opportunity to really get to know Faith, to help folks who were victims of domestic violence, of elder abuse, of child abuse, and of human trafficking. And in that time, she has not only created such an amazing resource where free legal services are available to many men and women and children who have needed legal advice at a time when they are in greatest needs, and also in helping what the Family Justice Center created was Camp Hope to also stop the end and the cycle of violence. During the pandemic, she helped unite all of our service providers so that while many cities were using their CARES dollars and their federal dollars on different needs, Faith helped bring together all of our different providers and say, there is domestic violence happening, there's human trafficking happening, elder abuse happening, child abuse happening, and there are no reporters because we're all locked at home. And making sure that we were addressing that mental health issue. During her time as the CEO, she also helped create the National Human Trafficking Hotline here in Sacramento, and that was from the work with the Family Justice Center and Community Against Sexual Harm to help and respond immediately to those who were facing domestic violence. I've had a chance to know a person here who has made me a better person, who has made me think about my role as a public servant and how when I feel I'm tired and I want to call it quits for the day, how to get the energy to continue and to move on, and to always think about what can we do positively to improve the life of those who are suffering so much. It's my honor on behalf of the City Council to recognize and provide this resolution to our Reverend Faith Whitmore for her recognition and years of service to the region of Sacramento, but now with the National Hotline to our great country here. With that, let's give a big round of applause to the retirement of Faith, please.
Y'all are too kind. So thank you very, very much. I love this city. I love our region. I love how we come together when times are tough and support one another, and we need to keep doing that. And domestic violence, human trafficking, elder abuse, unfortunately, is just rampant in our community. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to have made some kind of an impact and to serve thousands of people in addition to the other agencies that do likewise. I also want to take the opportunity to introduce Kristen Fiorelli, who's here. Kristen is the new CEO at the Sacramento Regional Family Justice Center, and I know she's going to do a great job. She already is doing a great job. I also want to recognize Joyce Ballou and Daniel Iritani, because really Joyce and I, and then Daniel came on board. We created this together, so all the credit goes to those with whom I've worked, and so appreciate this time. Thank you all so much.
Well, thank you, Faith. You don't get away just yet. We have other members here on the council who want to.
Thank you, Councilmember Guerra. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you. What an appropriate recognition for you. Someone who always gives the credit to everyone else. Someone who always puts service above self. I had the pleasure of you being my ALF buddy, American Leadership Forum buddy, and that was way back in 1997 or 1998.
We were young then, Rick.
Yes, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because number one, it kept me in ALF through the hard times, and you did that, but I couldn't have had a better buddy, and that was a God thing. He made that happen because I don't know how else it could have happened, but it did, and I've been grateful for all my life since that point in time. So I just want to acknowledge you on this day of graduation, this day of recognition, to let the world know, what a great person you are and all that you do for everybody, and making a difference in their lives and in our community. So congratulations, Faith.
Thank you, Faith. And so the accomplishments are so large that I'll only read the resolved here for us. If not, we would be here till the end of the evening. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and City Council of the City of Sacramento do hereby offer profound thanks and recognition to Faith Whitmore for her commitment and passion to those in need, dedication to her family, friends, and community, and the love she gives to all. On October 15th, 2024, signed by the mayor and the entire city council.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Look at all this political staff getting ready to take photos. Come on.
And let's bring the FJC team with us too here.
Come on, Joyce, come on, guys. Come on.
I got you. Two. Everybody.
Councilmember Jennings, if you could step a little bit that way. If y'all could just slide a little bit, and if you could slide a little bit this way.
If you got behind face tonight, I don't think we'll go.
Okay. Awesome. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the point of privilege here while we adjust the chair. I'd like to also recognize in the audience here before she leaves, if she hasn't, my intern from in the state Senate, Maggie Broderick. I think did she? There she is in the back. Graduated recently from Sac State, helping the people of California. Thank you, Maggie. Fingers up. Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, the joy behind us, more joy in front of us as we continue on. We're going to move to the consent calendar. Do any members wish to pull any items for discussion or for a separate vote? Start out with Councilmember Valenzuela.
I would just like to note that I'll abstain from item 9 and 19.
9 and 19, okay. Councilmember Kaplan.
Just a quick comment on 24.
24. Okay. Councilmember Tao. Item 4. All right, any others? All right, seeing none.
Madam Vice Mayor, I do have a read to the record. Item number 5 is going to be withdrawn. That item has already been handled. Thank you.
Okay, that's been noted. Thank you very much, Madam City Clerk. We'll start out first with Councilmember Tao on item 4.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just wanted to make quick comments on item 4 on the site on Colfax Street. We are declaring this site as a surplus property. You know, the original intention of declaring this site as surplus property is to definitely attract affordable housing development into our area and to our district. I know this site was the former Camp Resolution site, and we hope that, you know, the city can still continue on to bring in more housing to this site and to the community, affordable, permanent, supportive housing, especially for our most underserved communities and neighbors.
Thank you very much, and that's a great point. And for those who are not aware, under the Surplus Lands Act, one of the first uses that is on the list is affordable housing. So we hope that doing so will elicit some strong responses for affordable housing. Great comments. We'll move next to Councilmember Kaplan with item 24.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to point out, because we have celebrated this before, this is accepting and highlighting a $38 million grant funding from the California Public Utilities Commission, and it's regards to the last mile of connectivity, because many of our communities in Sacramento do not have that access for internet. Significantly a part of my district in Robla that is often overlooked, that this is going to make sure that our communities that most need it are connected, because we know during the pandemic it was highlighted the needs of so many of our families and children, and this grant is helping doing that for a significant amount. And I just want to thank city staff and everybody who made sure they got this application in and we are awarded the grant, because it's going to do good.
Very good. Thank you, Vice Mayor Maple.
Thank you. I also have a comment on item 24. I want to echo the comments of my colleague, Councilmember Kaplan, and thank Darren Arcolino and Manuel Martinez from our IT department for this. And just really want to shout out that this is going to make a huge difference in the communities that need it the most, and specifically in my district, in District 5. This is going to help the Southland Mobile Home community near the Parkway neighborhood, and that's going to make a big impact on the ability for everyone to have internet connectivity, but especially our young people. So just really want to give it up and thank you.
Very good. Thank you all, members. We've taken public testimony, correct?
No, I have one speaker on the
Okay.
consent
Go right
calendar.
ahead.
Item Keith Detrich on item 17.
Hello, Council. Keith Dieterich, President and CEO of the Gathering Inn. I just want to thank you all for the opportunity for the Gathering Inn to begin services here in Sacramento. And I promise you that we will not go over budget, and we will provide excellent outcomes for the people that we're going to serve at the North Fifth Street Shelter. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Mayor, I have no more speakers.
All right, thank you. So I stepped out for a moment, but as I understand it, Councilmember Valenzuela is abstaining on items 9 and 19, and item 5 has been pulled. Has there been a motion? Also moved. Thank you. With those provisos, thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Oppose, abstain. All right, members, without objection, I'd like to move item 26 before item 25. Is that all right? Take up that item, and that is the business for the day. So let's now take up item 26. Is there a presentation on this at all? If not, I'm prepared to make some opening comments, hear from the public, and then we will have a council debate or discussion. Shall I go? All right. So I suppose if I were to caption this item, I would entitle it, Welcome to the Challenges and Complexities of Governing, especially in a system that is intended to create such diffuse sources of power. We've talked a lot about that system, and this is what the people want. It elects a mayor citywide. It elects 8 city council members. They appoint a city manager who cannot be removed without 6 votes of the entire city council. I think it's important to say that this is an item that I know has focused the attention of a lot of people in our community, a lot of leaders. Welcome to the challenges and complexities of governing. I would also say that in terms of this particular recommendation, which I know came out of our closed session, in which every member was present, that I would also describe this as, and I say this with a smile on my face, not with any sort of defensiveness or negativity. It's a little bit of darned if you do and darned if you don't. The vast majority of my colleagues and I have been consistent and clear on this question in 2 ways. Number 1, the next mayor and council should have the lead say in determining the future of the city manager, Howard Chan's contract. That was the deference provided me when I became mayor-elect of this city back in 2016, many, many years ago. And I believe the same deference should be offered not just to the next mayor, who will be elected on the 5th of November, but to the new members and even the returning members of the city council, because you will form a new governing team. The question before us, I know in many circles, is controversial. But the other thing that has become clear to me, and I know that there is controversy over this, but I have an opinion, and I think it represents the majority of my colleagues you'll see here today, but also the majority of the city, that this city manager, through thick and thin, has done an exemplary job, and that it would be in the best interest of the city for him to continue at least in transition, with then the next mayor and council having, again, the ability and the authority to determine whether he, if he so chooses, or somebody else should be the city manager during the course of the next mayor and council's 4-year and maybe longer tenure. There's another factor at stake here with a 22-year city employee who has served the city well. The manager has asked for consideration of a contract extension. He's asked for it. The community, in some ways, you could argue, is divided. There's some critics. There are some strong supporters. We may hear from them today. And of course, regardless of the city manager's contract status, he remains the city manager unless there are 6 votes to do otherwise or he chooses to leave. I believe we have a responsibility to honor his request, not necessarily to approve what he's asking for, but to consider it. That's what you owe a partner and somebody who has served this city so well over the course of many, many decades. Thus, there are 2 choices. One is to have agendized an item that would have this city council make a decision on the city manager's request that's been very public for a 1-year extension through December the 31st, 2025, as his contract expires December 31, 2024. That's one choice. Now, if I had agendized that, I can imagine that the howls of criticism would be loud from some quarters of the community, saying that I and the council would be taking away that authority from the next mayor and council to make that decision. It would also be inconsistent with my own position that I've been very clear about for the last 6 or 8 months, that I believe the next mayor and council should have, quote, that lead say, while providing for a transition. So that was one choice. Chose not to go that route. Instead, in consultation / negotiation with the city manager, with some very intense conversation, you have before you the second choice, which is to recognize that the manager's contract expires December the 31st, that he has a 60-day notice requirement in order to not seek to renew that contract, to waive that 60-day requirement, and then to simply say that when the next mayor and council is sworn in, that the council will, and this is the key word, the word isn't approve, the word isn't vote up or down, the words aren't vote up or down, simply to, quote, consider the manager's request for a 1-year extension. Now here's where it gets complicated, where governing becomes, where governing makes you less popular when you end than when you started. Might be true of me, by the way. The city attorney has said to us that the last meeting in December of the year has to be the day that the new mayor and council are sworn in. That's scheduled for December the 10th. So that's the date, if we're going to address the expiration of the manager's contract, that we have to set the hearing for. Now that's the swearing in day, where a new mayor is going to be feted and a new set of council members, and it's a day for celebration, not generally a day for business. So I was concerned about this, as some others were. And so we asked the second question of the city attorney. Does the council, as a pro forma matter on the 10th of December, have the ability to actually set another regular meeting on the 17th of December and to make a motion on the 10th in 30 seconds, 45 seconds? to continue the item, if they chose, from December 10th to another meeting on December 17th. And you can hear from Mr. Witter or Ms. Alcala if anyone wants to ask her, but the answer came back with a resounding yes, you can do that. So the problem of the celebration has been taken care of. I've talked to members of this council without violating the Brown Act, the returning members, and I'm very clear that whoever wins the mayor's race, if they ask those members to continue this a week to the 17th of December, that will be a pro forma and easy vote. So the question is it the right thing for this city council to simply ask the next group of leaders to consider whether they want to extend the city manager's contract? And I'll listen to everybody here today, of course, and respect everyone's opinion, but I believe it's absolutely the right thing. For even if his contract expired, he can stay without 6 votes the other way. And so I understand that we're in the middle of campaign season. I understand that we did pass a measure some months ago in terms of rules of procedure that allowed the mayor only to put anything on the agenda relating to the manager's or any charter officer's contract. But frankly, what that was really about was salary. That's what that was really about. It was about requests for salary increases. This is a fundamental question that either this city council or the next city council should decide. And I'm consistent, as are the vast majority of my colleagues who believe that it's the next mayor and council who should have the primary ability to weigh in. Last thing, whenever this is taken up, the city council will have full discretion to choose whatever it wants to do by majority of the votes. To say yes to the manager's request, to modify it, to do whatever, or to say no, to do whatever it chooses. So this, in my view, and I'm going to hear it out, and I know there's going to be maybe some contrary points of view, which I welcome, because for the new mayor, whoever you may be, again, welcome to the challenges of governing. Ultimately, this is a key question for the city that should be debated and answered by the people who are elected. That's where we stand. That's the reason for the recommendation that is before you. I would strongly urge an aye vote. And let us make sure that the people are heard on November 5th, and let the new representatives decide for how long a transition, and maybe even longer than a transition, depending upon what they want to do. Thank you. Let's hear from members of the public, and let's hear from members of the public, and then we will open it up to the City Council.
Thank you, Mayor. First speaker is Jay King, Michael Alt, Emily Bamey Michaels, then Mike Testa.
Good afternoon, City Council members. I'm Jay King, the President and CEO of the California Black Chamber of Commerce and 97.5 FM KDEE, Sacramento's #1 community radio station. Today, I want to discuss why we should extend Howard Chant's contract as a city manager for another year. Howard has navigated some of the most challenging times our city has faced, demonstrating unwavering dedication and exceptional leadership. Under his guidance, our city has not only survived difficult circumstances, but thrived. From managing budget constraints to fostering community engagement, Howard has shown an ability to tackle complex issues head-on. He's prioritized transparency and collaboration, building trust between the City Council and the community. Howard has also skillfully handled crises that could have derailed our progress. His calm demeanor and strategic thinking have guided us through treacherous waters, ensuring that our city remains resilient and forward-looking. His commitment to our community is evident in his proactive approach to economic development, public safety, and environmental sustainability. Extending Howard's contract is not just about continuity, it's about recognizing the hard work and dedication he has poured into our city. It's an opportunity to express our gratitude for his service and to reinforce our commitment to a stable and prosperous future. Let's honor Howard Chan's contributions by extending his tenure as city manager for another year. Together, we can continue to build on the progress we've made and face the future in confidence. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Michael Alt.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, Michael Alt with the Downtown Partnership. Good afternoon to you. I'm here today representing the Downtown Partnership, representative of 650 property and business owners downtown, and our support for the renewal of the contract for City Manager Howard Chan. Howard has shown critical leadership for us, and as we've navigated obviously rough waters, if you would say, over the last several years, his leadership has provided stability in the face of real budget challenges. He has worked extensively with the PBID community. You've got many members of the PBID community that are here today. Howard's strategic thinking, I think involvement in working with an incredible city staff that you have in helping us through not just public safety, but economic development and identifying ways for us to move this city forward. Now is the time for stable leadership. And as we look to swear in some new council members and new mayor, having that continuity we think is critically important. His deep understanding of city issues and his ability to work with us are critical, and we support council moving forward and approving staff recommendation today. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not staff recommendation, by the way. This is all in conjunction and collaboration with what came out of the closed session of the City Council. And I'm just going to say it, Michael, I love you, that all of this, all the things you're talking about in terms of getting through the hardest of hard times, it would be important, I think, for the future, not me, I'm out of here, but for all these members here to also recognize and acknowledge that he works for the City Council and that this has been a collaboration with the entire City Council, not just the city manager, as good a job as he's done, Mr. King too, saving the day here. That's not what this is about. It's about collaboration. And I think from the business community especially, you might get used to it a different way because there's going to be a different mayor here. And they're going to want to hear that, that there's some recognition that the policymakers here do set the direction and have been every bit a part of helping this city through these toughest of tough times. I just want to say that.
I absolutely agree to that. I mean, we've had an opportunity to thank you many times for your leadership in this council.
All them.
But we also don't get an opportunity to acknowledge the city manager, and that's what this was about. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. Emily Bay Michaels, then Mike Testa, then Clayton Buchanan.
Exactly what they did in the budget too.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Pleasure to be here with you today. I'm Emily Bay Michaels, Executive Director of Midtown Association, which also encompasses Midtown Parks, the Sutter Business Improvement Area, and the Midtown Central Business Improvement Area. We represent 1,200 parcels over 112 blocks in the central city. That equates to about 2,200 small businesses, as well as about 30,000 employees. Our mission is to make Midtown a center for culture, creativity, and vibrancy in Sacramento's urban core. I'm here to speak today on behalf of those businesses and property owners in support of the action that's recommended on this agenda item. It's critical that this is approved tonight to continue to your previous points, continuity and leadership at the city level. As council, we certainly recognize the complexity of the duty that you perform around the retention of your leadership, the stability of the organization, and the creation of a positive work culture for not just the city manager, but those that serve within the organization. From our perspective, per your direction, the city manager has been responsive in significantly reducing the impacts of homelessness, which has been a big win for all of us, as well as providing a balanced budget in partnership with you all at a time that we know we're in a time of fiscal pressure. He's also been incredibly responsive to the needs of our region during the unprecedented situation with the pandemic. As the city goes through significant leadership changes on the dais, it's critical that we retain continuity, especially as we look at bringing a balanced budget forward with significant fiscal challenges at the mid-year next year. We're asking that you vote in support tonight of this action item, as well as that you do the same on December 10th. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you very much, Emily. Appreciate it. Council, okay, let's, do we have more? Mike Testa, go ahead.
Mike
Apologies.
Testa, then Clayton Buchanan, then Vito Scromo.
Mayor Steinberg, members of the council, my name is Mike Testa. I'm the president and CEO of Visit Sacramento. As you well know, there are some significant changes coming to City Hall in 2025. A new mayor, along with 2 new city council members, will offer fresh perspectives. But it will naturally take these newly elected officials some time to find their collective groove with their colleagues. When you factor in the reality of the city starting the budget process for the 2025-2026 fiscal year at the beginning of 2025, it should be noted that stable and consistent organizational leadership is paramount to success. We believe that this council and this city manager work well together, and we applaud all of you for it. We want that to continue moving forward. In that regard, I urge you to amend the contract with the city manager to ensure that cohesion and continuity are stable amidst the changes ahead. Thank you.
Clayton Buchanan, then Vito Scromo, and then Karen Corbs.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Heather Hoekstra. I am the Sacramento City Exempt Employees Association President, and I'm here today to lend our support in favor of extending the contract for City Manager Howard Chan. I have here with me today Clay Buchanan. He is the Vice President for SCAA, and he's going to be sharing the reasons that we support this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and thank you for allowing me to address you today. I'm here today representing over 850 city employees who are part of our association. We represent employees in every department within the city. We're not centric to one department. Our concern for our members who work tirelessly every day to make our city function is the stable leadership. If we were going to have a new mayor, two new council members, and a new city manager taking over at the same time, that stability would not be there. We all are aware that the city is facing another challenging budget year. We need to ensure that we have an experienced city manager who understands the city's budget process. You recently received a letter endorsed from SBOA Local 522 and SCAA supporting extending City Manager Chan's contract. We believe that this extension would provide stability for our city and our employees. It should be noted that these 3 associations represent over half of our city employees. And I don't know if the last time you've seen a manager association aligned with line level associations coming up here about a managerial decision. So we support and ask you to pass this item. This will allow the new mayor and the new council members the chance to vote on extending the city manager's contract. The newly elected members should have the opportunity to provide their input. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Vito. Following Vito is Karen Corbs, then Lambert, then Keon Bliss, Marbella Sala.
Mayor, City Council, and City Manager, my name is Vito Scromo, resident of Midtown. I'm here to, again, encourage you to extend the city manager's contract for another year. I've worked with Howard Chan over the last 20 years on a variety of neighborhood issues. He encompasses the skills and personal skills that I've rarely seen in state and city government in regards to being a problem solver and willing to work with any member and any aspect of city government to get positive results for the community. I've seen some major events that have happened in the city because of Howard, and I strongly encourage you to extend his contract. Thank you.
Next speaker is Karen, then Lambert.
Good afternoon, City Council, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Chan. I'm here today to show my support for Howard Chan as our city manager. I'm asking that you approve to extend his contract to the end of 2025. Working with the City of Sacramento is probably one of the most difficult governing bodies to work for. Lucky for all of you. And Howard has done so with professionalism, compassion, and objectivity. The city manager's position is often underappreciated despite being crucial to local government operations. Right now, the City of Sacramento has bigger fish to fry than having to recruit and interview for a new city manager. Whether you decide to vote today or wait for the new city council to be in their seats, that's fine. I hope you do so tonight, but the greater community would like to see Howard's contract extended for the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Lambert, then Keon Bliss, then Marbella Sala. And then Ron Elmsley will be our final speaker on this item.
Yes, my name is Lambert Davis, and I represent To the Bay and Back Cheesecakes. And I was stunned to see this, that a person has been allowed to, what I consider, run roughshod over the Brown Act. And what I mean by that is there's a city manager's report, and I keep hearing a lot of people say that the city manager this, city manager that, but on June 11th, when I was here for the budget, I said to recognize and acknowledge everybody on this rostrum. They have a role to play. And by the way, those of you who aren't aware, the city manager has 5 assistant city managers. You talk about delegating responsibility with the ability to maybe abuse that. Our business, and this is the Better Business Bureau speaking recently, we've had no complaints, 0 complaints, no scandals. Every paperwork we've submitted to the city manager's office has been caught with some sort of scandal to our paperwork. A memo was sent out on my family that I was not aware of. You're not supposed to send a memo out unless you CC the person who submitted the paperwork. The mayor didn't fill out the paperwork. The city manager didn't fill it out. The city council people didn't fill it out. My family filled it out. We didn't ask anybody in here to help us fill it out because we know how to read. I personally not only do not think he should receive an extension, I personally think he should be terminated, brought up on criminal charges, and put in prison. And not only him, but some of his assistants, because we have caught you with your hands on our paperwork. And how in the world can you justify a company from an underserved community that the Better Business Bureau has endorsed, and we've gone viral in Southern California in the Bay Area?
Next speaker is Keon Bliss, Marbella Sala, then Ron Elmsley. These are our final 3 speakers on this item.
You know, I don't believe for a minute that this was done with collaboration of the full city council, that this was agendized, because there really isn't a need to agendize it unless the next city council, if this was a question that the city council actually wanted to address, now you'd be putting the vote in of whether to extend it to yourselves, rather than just punting it and requiring the next council on the first meeting to actually discuss it. And it's pretty obvious to see just from the speakers as well as the number of people that have lobbied that this is all Howard's doing, that he's the one that actually runs this city, and that we actually are not a democratic governing body in any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you have members of the largest partners in business associations, which he is a board member on and actually serves on, coming in to lobby for him, an unelected position. And he's been doing it for weeks, right? Together, collectively, this city has paid this man $3.2 million in city taxpayer funds over his tenure, just since since he was part-time as a city manager. Compare that with what we know about the last city manager who exited having about at least $1.5 million from that. If we were to retire with this extension, he'd be getting at least $4 million. He'd be paid for 9 years worth of that. And to think that he's a great, I'm sure he's a great negotiator when it comes for business communities, but he's not so much with the community members, especially when they are black and outspoken. I mean, this is a man who can't even sit down and talk with the Police Review Commission and actually orders the police department to disengage because he doesn't like people. He doesn't like their opinions.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Marbella Sala, then Ron Elmsley. Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I'm Marbella, and I'm here as an individual. I'm not speaking on behalf of Gardenland Neighborhood Association. I'm here because I've been attending all these meetings, and I just want to give my perspective. I understand the reason why you're delaying the extension of the contract and you're putting it to the new mayor and the new council. I get it. But I also think his contract is over. And I believe that the city council should take action now. It's your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the new mayor or the new city council that's coming in. They have so much on their plate that is more important than trying to make an informed decision. They haven't worked with this city manager as long as all of you have. You know his strengths and you know his shortcomings. In the community, and I noticed that most of the people that spoke are from the business community, and I think as the prior speaker said, he's probably a great negotiator, but from a community's perspective, what we have witnessed, what I have witnessed, is a lack of collaboration, is a lack of respect. I've witnessed him disrespect you on the dais, some of you, because he didn't agree with you. And for me, that was horrible, because I would never disrespect my boss no matter what. So to the community, we don't understand why you all have not held him accountable when he makes mistakes, and he has made them. When he put his own salary sneakily in December to vote on to get a raise, you should have reprimanded him for that. So there's a lot of instances, and the community says, and we feel, at least the people I speak to, is the contract should end, and you have assistant managers.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Ron Elmsley. Mr. Elmsley is the final speaker on this item.
Things were pretty good when Heather Fargo was here. And then when KJ got here, it plummeted. And now Daryl, he's just keeping the pace going down. So I think that the only thing that we get a good deal out of is the city manager. You folks are, especially the neo-communists, they're weird. So whatever Howard wants, I think you should give it to him. You're very lucky to have him. You don't know what you could get. He might be what you might like, but gee, you folks are not doing a good job. So give it to him, please.
Mayor, I have no more speakers on this item.
Okay, thank you. Let's turn it over to the City Council for discussion, deliberation, potential vote. Councilmember Kaplan, you're first.
Thank you, Mayor. I think you appropriately set the stage when it comes for darn if you do, darn if you don't. This is the complexities of a city manager form of government. And it truly is about understanding what our powers are as they're set in our charter, and the push and pull that comes from we as council set direction that the city manager implements. And unfortunately, voters, or depending on how you feel, fortunately or unfortunately, the voters have several times turned down changing our form of government from a city manager to a strong mayor. So I know coming in, city manager form of government is very much like school board and how school boards are run, because you have a superintendent and they are hired and fired by school board members. And so that's a system I am very comfortable in understanding that push and pull. I have been very clear for over a year that I support the extension of the city manager's contract. Had you asked me a year ago, I would have said, give him a year. This shouldn't be an election conversation because back then we were already facing a budget deficit. I knew we were going to have a new mayor and new council members. Stable and consistent leadership, no matter how you feel about that leader, is more important for the city of Sacramento than how I personally feel. I am elected to represent the citizens of Sacramento. And I look out and I see a lot of city employees that I know stand behind our city manager and the letters that we've received from SPOA, our firefighters, and SCAA. That is a majority and a lot of our city employees that are saying, please keep consistent and stable leadership, no matter how you feel, because we do have a budget deficit. And out of respect for our city manager, who has spent 22 years in this city, that experience matters when we're looking at the intricacies of a budget deficit that are going to impact our city employees. It takes having somebody who has that knowledge, where the money is spent, where we can cut things, and how to best do it so that we aren't cutting our employees. But more importantly, we have negotiations. And under a city manager form of government, it's our city manager that implements the direction of the city council on those negotiations. It's not up to us individually. We collectively direct the city manager, and having that knowledge on union negotiations and contracts is more important than anything else. I'm going to be here next year. I'm not hiding it. I'm very clear. I support the city manager and I support the extension of his contract. I'm not about playing games. I believe we as electeds have to be honest and have to tell the public where we are and be transparent about it. I will take up your charge, Mayor, because I have an idea of how we change salary negotiations. Whether I get the rest of the council buy-in is up for future discussion, but I think that's something that we need to create an objective and a clear process for all of our charter members to create, chaos that sometimes comes with it in creating an objective standard that I have seen other city councils do. So I am fully supportive of what is before us. While I disagree that the new council should handle it, I think we should. That is the majority wish and will of this council, which I will respect. So I will put a motion on the table before us that amends the city contract with the city manager, allowing the city manager to terminate the contract at any time and setting December 10th, 2024 as the date for the city council to consider whether to extend the contract. And on December 10th, I am happy to make the motion to pause and extend that item to a December 17th council meeting.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan. Councilmember Valenzuela.
Thank you, Mayor. Ironically, tonight, we're hearing an item that was deliberated in closed session and put on our agenda by our mayor. Two things that we are taking away from this next mayor and council with our proposed action tonight. I believe, as the mayor said, that when colleagues suggested this concept, the idea was to add another meeting on December 17th after the swearing in, because swearing in night should be celebratory and shouldn't be laden with heavy business. But we've learned since then that that's not possible, and even though the council could decide to add a meeting and delay this item, they'd still be doing that debate, discussion, and vote on their first night on this dais with no benefit of prior closed session discussion with their new colleagues. So the item before us robs those incoming members of one special night that all of you had before they begin the hard work of governing the city. One night. The only meeting every 2 years where the only focus is on new members assuming their new roles. I have to ask my colleagues how you would have felt your first night ever on this dais if we had put this item in front of you with no benefit of closed session, less than a month before the city manager's contract expires. It's not okay, and both mayoral candidates have said that they do not want this to happen. Let's face it, colleagues, this is our problem, and we need to deal with it. We have a city manager who wants a one-year contract, and we do not have the votes on this council to give him that. I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it's not ideal, and I know several of you have worked very hard to avoid this situation, but that's where we are. I believe firmly in a council form of government because I think our city is stronger when we work together. And for the 5 cities in California that have strong mayor who are not immune to their own challenges, I must admit, there are hundreds and hundreds of cities in California with a council form of government who make it work quite well. But that model falls apart when we lack the political will to do what is necessary. And I believe rejecting the proposed action tonight is necessary, not only because we disagree on a contract or that it's unfair to the next mayor and council, but because we've lost control of our city manager. I've seen a lot these last 4 years, but the examples from just this recent year alone are egregious. There's at least one ordinance, the mixed income housing ordinance, that a majority of this council said we supported moving forward at a public workshop last December that the city manager's team has announced to business groups is postponed indefinitely, despite no council authority to do that. We decided that all charter officers would report on their annual progress at PMPE each July, and this year the city manager refused to do that. We even voted on this dais to require ourselves and our staff, including our city manager, to take a mandatory DEI course. And according to the instructor for that course, the city manager refused to do that as well. Some of you may think that it's not right that I'm speaking so openly about our city manager's behavior, but I know that he talks about all of us all the time. In fact, on the exact day that this item was posted last week, our city manager shared a post on his public LinkedIn page. This post was a statement of support for the city manager that said, in part, and I quote, "Members of the City of Sacramento City Council are seemingly clueless that they are one of the most difficult governing bodies to work for in the entire profession. They are political power brokers used to serving in the Sacramento legislature or other political capacities, or they're wannabes," end quote. Our city manager shared this post, and on the very day that this agenda item was posted, said to the person who posted it, quote, "Thank you for the support," end quote. He followed that statement with, quote, "Keep up the good work," end quote. I don't say any of this to embarrass you as colleagues, but to try to shake your shoulders. And by the way, I have to say that that post is still on the city manager's public LinkedIn page today. These are only a few examples, and I am sure, in fact, I am certain, based on conversations I have had with city staff and stakeholders, that there are even more examples that I don't even know about. The fact is, when I first decided to start standing up to the city manager, I was scared. I was scared of speaking up because I was worried I might face retaliatory actions from him and his team. And the fact that several of you have expressed concerns to me about that same potential outcome for yourselves and your districts should be a huge red flag. This is our problem. The city manager has made his choice. Now it is time for us to make ours and to not put our future mayor and colleagues in an impossible position this December 10th. I'm a no on this proposed motion. Thank you, Mayor.
We have others up. Vice Mayor Maple.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it, and I just really appreciate all my colleagues and their viewpoints. I know this is a difficult conversation for a lot of reasons, but I also think it's really important that we all speak our mind and say what's on our hearts. And so for me, I know that our city is facing a serious budget deficit, and the road ahead is going to have many difficult choices for us, those of us who are on this dais right now and those of us who are coming onto this dais. These challenges require thoughtful leadership, collaboration, and continuity. In times of uncertainty, stability is essential, especially as we navigate the complexities of the upcoming budget cycle. In just 21 days, the final ballots will be cast, and we'll know the outcome of the election. With new leadership on the horizon, I've been consistent in my belief that those elected to office should have a voice in this decision, as critical as extending the city manager's contract. Howard Chan has served this city for more than 22 years. His leadership has earned the respect of many, and some of those people you heard today, but many of those other people are not available to be here today, but we have received letters. This includes our city staff, our labor unions, our business leaders, and members of the public. I stress the importance of maintaining stability and continuity as we navigate these uncertain times. I believe the right course of action is to ensure that our new mayor and council have the opportunity to shape the decisions that will define the future that they are entrusted to lead. That is why allowing the city manager to continue in his role through December, giving the incoming mayor and council the ability to review and address his contract extension when they are seated is what I believe is the right path forward. I recognize that there are concerns raised about holding this vote on December 10th. However, the city charter is clear that new members are sworn in during the, quote, last regular meeting of the year. That puts us in a hard place. I want to be clear. It is my hope that the swearing-in ceremony will be a time for celebration. and that the council always retains the option to postpone that decision to a future meeting. When this item is brought forward, council members will have the freedom to vote as they see fit, whether that means supporting the proposed one-year extension, approving a 6-month transition period, postponing the decision indefinitely, or with 6 votes terminating the contract altogether. Tonight, we are not deciding the city manager's future, but rather we are ensuring that the new mayor and council will have an opportunity to be a part of this decision, which is something that I have held true to this entire time. City manager, the mayor, and others will tell you that. For these reasons, I will be voting to move this amendment forward. This is a practical solution that balances the need for stability and the importance of respecting the transition of leadership and ensuring that our new council and mayor can make decisions that impact the future of our city. Thank you. I'll second this item.
Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak? Not, I'm going to just make a couple of, Rick, did you want to speak? Rick Jennings, go ahead.
So I'm not as well organized as I'd like to be, so I'm going to speak from my heart more so than from my notes. I've been on this council for 10 years. I've had the opportunity of working with our city manager in his position before he was city manager and since he's been city manager. And I've watched him grow and I've watched him develop. I would be stupid to think that any employee is going to do everything right all the time. I think all of us recognize that who work with people, who manage people. But what I've seen out of our city manager is a person who exemplifies everything that you said tonight, those of you who came to the podium in support, that you support the city manager, you support his leadership, you support his stability that he brings. He's the right person at the right time to be there with the budget deficits that we have in place, and he maintains the leadership that we need so much when there's so much change that's going to happen with the next council that comes in. So, you know, there is strong support for me for his renewal, because never in history that I've been in this council we've had so much change in a short period of time. I think it is this responsibility of this council to make the decision and not put it on the next council on the first day that they walk into a meeting and they have no history of anything that has gone on before them. I just don't believe that's right. And so I believe it's strongly that it's our decision to make this decision, and that we should make this decision, and we make a decision that works, creates a win-win, not only for this council, but for the next council that's coming afterward. And so I'm a very strong proponent of treating a 22-year employee with dignity and respect and professionalism, and not tearing that person down, but lifting that person up to their full potential. And that's what I'm here to do tonight, is I'm here to lift him up. And hopefully that we can make a decision that allows him to continue in his job, doing the job that we want him to do. And here's my biggest fear, and I don't like fear-mongering, but my biggest fear is to every employee that's out there that looks at how they feel the city manager is being treated, why would they think that they wouldn't be treated that way? Why would they start not looking at how we're treating others as maybe how they're going to be treated? And so I'm not interested in tearing down a person that's given 22 years of their life to make this city a better city, to lead us through the most difficult times that we've had since I've been here on the council. I'm interested in lifting that person up and having them stay on and move forward in a way that helps us to be able to correct the problems that we have and to be able to move forward, to make the changes that we need in policy, to be able to move forward and to make this city great. I don't want to be someone that people talk about this city because of what we do wrong. I want to be somebody that says we are doing it right and this city is doing it right, and we're going to treat our tenured employees and even our new employees with dignity and respect and professionalism in everything that we do. So I am in full support of the motion that's on the floor today and the second that was given.
Even though you'd rather have us vote on the contract today, if you could.
Us?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That isn't the motion, but
yeah,
I understand. So, no, thank you. Councilmember Jennings. It's interesting to hear your heartfelt comments and Councilmember Valenzuela's heartfelt comments, because they are heartfelt. These are passionate and very good public officials who have very different point of views about the same question, and it sort of illustrates, I think, my initial point here about the system. And I want to respond to Councilmember Valenzuela's comments because I think there's something educative in this debate back and forth. The idea that this system works just fine if only we work better together. One, I would say, we have worked very well together over the course of 6 to 8 years. Critics aside, I understand it. But I'll put our collective record up in terms of the missing middle, in terms of 41% reduction in unsheltered homelessness, in terms of directing the ARPA money and the Measure U money towards the establishment of the Department of Community Response and all the clean and safe stuff that Mr. Alt and Ms. Bay-Michaels talked about, and plenty of mistakes along the way as well. But where I disagree with you is that this conflict is actually not unique here in the city of Sacramento. Kevin Johnson, my predecessor, did not talk to John Shirey for a year prior to my becoming mayor. You want to talk about some dysfunction? Luckily, we had the Golden One Center and all that to distract that, But you talk about dysfunction. You want to go back farther in history, and I won't name names, but I could, about some of the power plays, even when Mayor Fargo was mayor with the prior city manager and what goes on back and forth. I'm sorry, Howard Chan has great strengths, and he has some weaknesses like we all do. But if you don't think that 80% of this problem here is systemic, then you're not looking at or reading the history here. So I disagree with you that all could be just fine if only we all hired a city manager who, by the way, think about the differences in philosophy and point of view in terms of governing. This is what the people want. And that's why you have no positive impact on any debate in this chamber or elsewhere, Mr. Bliss. Thank you. Yeah, see you later. That's exactly right. Okay, good. But this is what the people want, and so we grapple with this system. And I disagree with Councilmember Jennings, my dear friend, is this Councilmember Valenzuela, that somehow the city manager is being treated badly. No, he isn't. He's a highly paid employee that's at will, and this is a political body, and the political body, by the way, is changing, and I guarantee you one thing, with all the critics out there, especially those who are against Mr. Chan, if I were to agendize this to vote as you asked for, and we were to vote on his one-year request today or next week, people would become unglued. Damned if you do, and damned if you don't. And guess what? I accept that as part of what I signed up for 2 terms as this mayor. This is the closest we can find to a sweet spot, which is to respect his tenure, to agree with, I think, the majority of opinion that at a minimum a transition is a good thing, and to respect what basically I heard from the 2 mayoral candidates in very different, in different ways, that they don't want to be necessarily stuck with someone that they haven't had the opportunity to vet and consider themselves. And that's all we're doing here. And so, welcome to this system that the people have affirmed now twice, you're right, over the past 7 or 8 years. Welcome to a system that has actually brought a lot of achievement in this city over the last over the last 4 to 8 years, and let us get on with it. Let's call the roll, please. I'm sorry. Councilmember Vice Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes, go ahead. Yes.
All right. Thank you. I do want to say that we've spent months and months and hours and days and so much time trying to negotiate a deal with our city manager. And we haven't had any luck. We spent countless hours. I even worked on my dad's birthday. I don't work 2 days of the year, the day he passed away and the day of his birthday. I worked all day on my dad's birthday because of this issue. And it's what I've been working on for so many months, and I know you, Mayor, have too, and Vice Mayor, and everyone has tried to come up with creative solutions that, one, meets our goals of having the new mayor and council have a say in who gets to be our next city manager, and meeting Howard's goals as a professional careered city manager. We have tried so hard, and we've gotten letters from you, we've gotten emails and phone calls, and we've gotten lobbied pretty heavily. I've been attacked on Facebook. There's been a lot that has happened behind the scenes. And honestly, it's pretty frustrating for me as a council member on my second year. I personally requested a 1-year extension in July to get us to July of 2025 to get us through the budget cycle. We have a tough budget coming up, and that was one of my requests. Many of my other colleagues came up with other ideas. And again, we were unsuccessful. But I promise you to everyone here in the audience who cares about this issue, we really tried. And we really did listen. And we tried to come up with a compromise. Because it's what we do. So we're not here by choice. We really did try. Now, I am willing to vote yes because I care about Howard's family. And I care about the 60-day extension. And I want you to be okay. I'm still uncomfortable with the second piece of the December date being hard set in stone. And I know my colleague has also said that they'd be willing to postpone the item. But again, it goes back to the new mayor and council actually having a real say in when they want to agendize this too. And that's something for my colleagues who are going to be here, something for us to consider. So I just want the record to reflect that I'm pretty unhappy with all of us. I have a lot of areas of concern. And for us, the next mayor and council that's going to be here next year, we have a huge responsibility in earning the trust of the people of Sacramento. Huge. They elected us to work on issues of housing, homelessness, transportation, and so much more. We have so many critical problems in our city, and we're just so focused on this. And it takes up so much time and energy. And so, for us, the next mayor and council that we're going to be here, we have a huge responsibility, and I really hope that we can work together to, address the real issues of the people of Sacramento. And I just had to get that out of my system.
I think it's important to reiterate one other thing, because you said it, Vice Mayor Talamantes. The next mayor and council have the full discretion to choose to do whatever they want, undoubtedly on the 17th of December. And that includes yes, no, maybe, continue again. If they did that, the city manager would then have his choice, because his contract would expire December 31st. But that's the complete decision and discretion of the next city council. The same thing we do every single Tuesday on issues that are tough and arguably even tougher than this. Councilmember Vang?
Thanks, Mayor. I just also want to put my thoughts just on record. I'm going to be taking a no vote on the item and wanted to share why. And it's not based on the character of the city manager. I believe I have a good relationship with the city manager. I'm always open, transparent, and honest where I am. And I haven't really changed my opinions, my thoughts of what was shared in closed session. Because what's on the table is actually not what I believe we discussed in closed session, and wanted to say that on record. Just like you, Mayor, I believe that the next mayor and council should have a lead say in the contract. You had that opportunity as well. And what I want to share is that what's on the table is that for the next mayor and council to make the decision on December 10th. We can't guarantee that the item will be moved to December 17th. I'm just saying that. And I think that's important just to lift up. And to the vice mayor's point, I don't believe, even if we put it on December 10th, the new mayor and the new city council members coming in, they won't have a closed session to even discuss what vote what vote. They're not going to have that opportunity. Yes, they're going to have an opportunity to take that vote, whether to move it to December 17th, but they won't have that time to be in closed session, to deliberate, to even make that decision. And I'm just saying we can't guarantee that. So I think that's important to lift up. The other piece, it's not so much Howard Chan. It could be any city manager that's sitting in the seat, and I would still take the same position, because the city manager is not an elected official. This person, he, she, or they're not subject to Brown Act, right? And so they could get their 6 votes on the day, December 10th, right? And that could happen. And so for me, I'm thinking about just what the outcome could be. And want to make sure that the new mayor, whoever he or she may be, don't get overruled by 6 votes because a city manager is not subject to Brown Act. That's important for me, and that's the reason why I'm going to take a no vote. The other piece is we do work very hard to ensure that our unions, our city staff, don't get out of contract, right? That we renew their contract on time. But there are times when our unions are out of contract. They shouldn't be, right? This would be kind of similar to the city manager. If we don't renew it, I would like to just waive the 60-day notice at least. But if we don't renew it, the city manager doesn't just, if he chooses to resign, he does, but you can't remove him without 6 votes. That's the other piece that I think I want to just uplift and point out as well. And so there are options on the table, other options on the table if we so choose. But I also hear the piece on that the city managers has been here for 22 years, and I have tremendous respect for Howard Chan, the service that he has provided to the city. But I'm also thinking about the new mayor and council and what's guaranteed and not guaranteed. Because again, like I was saying, this is not about Howard Chan, but any city manager that's sitting in that seat is not subject to Brown Act, and they can get their 6th vote on December 10th. And I want to ensure that the new mayor and council gets that opportunity to deliberate. And because of that, Mayor, I will, while I know you did your very best to find a middle ground, wanted to make sure that I share with you just, I've always been, I don't think I've changed my position. It's always been that position. And I want to allow the new mayor even that opportunity to deliberate and to reflect before they even take that vote, right, on the night that they're being sworn in. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Fair enough. Very good. Mayor Pro Tem?
Mayor, do you think we can get the city attorney to explain like the process about it being on one meeting versus the other and how that would all work out? Just because.
So let me see if I can lead you, Mr. Witter.
Yeah, and like I know we've all talked about it a lot,
So
but for the record
this is
to
the way
show.
that I understand it, that, just to make it simple, whoever the mayor-elect is, in preparation for her or his first meeting, can put together a resolution that has consideration of the city manager's request and a concurrent resolution that sets a meeting for December the 17th. And so the action of the new mayor and the city council on the 10th of December, requested action would be to continue the manager's item until the 17th of December. That would then enable the new mayor and council to meet in closed session, which I want to ask you about in a minute here, just to close the loop. Is that the way the process could work?
Yes, the contract requires the item to be put on now, and so you would be putting it on as one of your last actions. And then if the new mayor, the mayor-elect, wanted to add it to the meeting on the 10th, to have set up a new regular meeting calendar that would include a meeting on the 17th, that would be how procedurally it would work.
Okay.
Yes.
There has been some question raised about the City Council's authority to meet in closed session about a manager's contract. And we rely on your legal advice and went into closed session last Tuesday, obviously, to discuss this item. It is legal for a City Council to meet in closed session to discuss a charter office, whether to extend, not extend a city manager's contract. Is that right?
It's true. We haven't, and I've talked to Suzanne about this, we haven't heard anything that's come out of that meeting that would indicate to us that the Brown Act was violated in that closed session.
Because?
Well, because you can talk about what you've decided. You've gone out to figure out how to keep the status quo in place, and you've done that. There was no discussions of compensation. There was no discussions of salary. There was no discussion of benefits. It was just simply how to get this contract through to the next council.
And that's an appropriate item for closed session?
It is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I think we've had a full debate and discussion here. Let us call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember Kaplan. Aye. Councilmember Tao. Aye. Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes.
Aye.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
No.
Vice Mayor Maple.
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra.
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings.
Aye.
Councilmember Vang.
No.
And Mayor Steinberg.
Aye. All right, that measure passes. Thank you. Thank you all very much. All right. What's that? Yeah, go get your.
So the next item is 25, appointment of city auditor. I do have one speaker on this item. Would you like to take that now?
Yeah, but let me turn it over first to Jennifer. Are you going to present?
A very short presentation.
Yes, please. Thank you. Why don't you wait just a second?
No problem.
Mayor, we're not going to hear from the city manager? Of course not. Of course not. Council. The whole board's coming in.
All right, well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. I'm Jennifer Wilkinson, Program Specialist in the Human Resources Department. This item is listed as a discussion item as Government Code 54953 requires that we must orally report on a summary of the recommendation for final action on salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of local agency executives. The city auditor meets the local agency executive definition as defined in Government Code Section 3511.1D. Farishta Arari was the selected candidate from the city auditor recruitment, and council desires to appoint Ms. Arari as the city auditor effective September 7th, 2024, with an annual salary of $225,000. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And thank you for all your good work and help in the entire recruitment process. A lot more to it than meets the eye. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Of course. We do have public testimony.
Ron Elmsley.
You do need a functional city auditor. I don't know if you got one or not, but they're not doing a good job. You got the fire department that's out of control. They can do whatever they want to. You know, there's no control over them. They all, from the top on down to the misbehavior, they can do it. And everyone knows. And what about all other departments? That they just do as they please. So you need to get somebody in there, and hopefully this person takes the job seriously. Because the city is in such poor shape. They do as they wish. But, of course, the housing authority is too. So everything that you folks are over are in just poor. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Mayor, I have no more speakers on this item.
Let's hear from members of the council. Now, I want to make a comment or two, but let's start with Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes.
I am so happy to move the motion to appoint Farisha Harari to our City of Sacramento City Auditor position. Can you please stand for everybody so that they can know who you are? And thank you to her staff, who I know are all here. Farisha, you are qualified. You're determined. You have so much integrity. You love our city. And I know you're going to do what's best for our community and make sure that we're transparent, because that's what the people want. And so I just really look forward to you and your new role. And I'm so sorry we've just put you through so many hours of discussion and heartache, but you are incredible. And I'm just so excited that you went through the interview process and you got the job. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to happily second the motion and just say that it's been a joy getting to know you. I'm looking forward to working with you over the next couple of years of my term, and you really, really were impressive. I think that was the key thing that came out of all of the interview process. Everyone that we spoke with and talked with was your command of the issues, your knowledge of the office, your certifications. I think one of the things that was said coming out of the interviews was you had a lot of numbers after your name, or a lot of letters, sorry. And how that shows not only your dedication to your job, but continuing education and your leadership in the office. So looking forward to having you in this position, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to explain my vote tonight, which is not a surprise because I've had a conversation with Farisha. I am supportive of the appointment of Farisha as our city auditor. But as our prior discussion brought up, there is sometimes a push and pull in our governance process and how we create things. I want to thank Jennifer and how diligently she worked, because I think with you working with the city clerk and the rest of the council, we developed a process that I hope we can memorialize if there are other times that we have to hire a city manager or direct report. I hope that we go through the same process because I thought it was very transparent and thorough. I have zero doubt about the capabilities of Farisha as our city auditor. I have no doubt about her integrity and transparency. But I am making a decision to vote no on this item for the following reasons. But let me be clear. I have faith in the hiring of our city auditor, but feel it is necessary to vote no on this item to set the stage of where I'm at for the city and to be transparent, because one of the things I don't agree with that we as a city council need to do better is the standard and the process for negotiating salaries for all of our city, for our direct reports and those that we have that we hire. I am voting no because it's my personal opinion that when the city council negotiates a salary of its charter members and direct hires, that the standard salary range should be negotiated in a like for like position. I fully disagree with looking at and comparing our city charter with including the city auditor with directors and assistant city managers. Their jobs are not similar at all. In my years as a school board member, we never compared our superintendent's salary with principals or city managers or any other position. It was only a comparison of superintendent salaries to superintendent salaries. It is my belief that when looking at an appropriate salary range for our charter officers and direct hires, that the city should be following the example set by the city of San Diego, which just did a salary range negotiation, published it on the agenda for review and determination of appropriate salary of what a city auditor should be, and council voted on it. That is a transparent, objective, and open process for which removes the emotions and the personal bias that comes into these discussions. The title of that report presented to the council on April 4th, 2024 was Comparative Salary Analysis for the City Auditor Position Update. Upon approval of our new city auditor, her salary will be $225,000. She will be making more than the City of LA Director of Auditing, which has been in the city for which is a city of 3 million residences, overseeing 22 employees in a department, and here in Sacramento, it's a department of 10. The City of Long Beach auditor is making more, but they have 18 years of experience with the City of Long Beach. While the County of San Francisco city auditor is only making $10,000 more than our city auditor here, they have a population of 831,000 to Sacramento's 500 and approximate 50,000. As the city moves forward and the new council begins to discuss salary for all our charter employees, I want to make my intent clear. Unless a comparative salary analysis is done for each charter position and presented to council for discussion and approval on the agenda, I will be voting no on any further increases for any of our charter officers or direct hires. Our voters and public demand this process is open. The law changes demand this process is open, that it is transparent, and that is the only process I will be supporting moving forward for any salary discussion for any charter members or direct hires. And let me close. I do support you, Farishta, in the job that you do, and I am sorry that this has brought up an issue of which we've discussed and had issues on of salary, but I feel it is also my duty, knowing that this is going to pass handedly, to also take a stand of where I am and how we need to do better as the city of Sacramento, and being transparent and open when we talk about our charter officers and direct hire salaries.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
To my council colleague, respectfully, I love your research, but we have a problem here at the city of Sacramento internally with our salary schedules. And this applies to like everybody, from like our lowest, like our executives here get paid quite well. So if you're gonna be making comparisons with other jurisdictions, compare Farishta to other people at her level with her degrees and her professional experience. So I just had to put that on the record. And Farishta, congratulations.
Yeah, I think the idea going forward, by the way, of a public discussion about how to make comparisons for all these positions is a constructive suggestion. But I will tell you that one person's apples to apples is another person's apples to oranges, and that's the way this is. And we have a incoming city auditor who was unanimously selected by the members with great confidence. And we did go back and forth for several weeks on this issue of salary and landed, I think, at a fair spot. And respect everybody's vote and principle on all of this. But and I think even Councilmember Kaplan made it clear that she supports you, and we all do. We welcome you, and really look forward to working with you. Not me for 2 months, but for everybody else, including Councilmember Valenzuela and Tao, of course, as well. But you will serve the city well, first, and. I think even the way you handled sort of the ups and downs of the last couple of weeks was indicative of your professionalism, your calm, even under some stress. And I think you'll be a real healer in the right way in this city. So congratulations to you and to all your team. You got a great leader here, all right? So let's call the roll, please.
You, Councilmember
I'm
Kaplan.
sorry, I got Rick Jennings. I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Rick. Go ahead.
I just wanted to correct one thing. You have served the city well in every position that you've had in the city of Sacramento. You will continue to serve the city well as our city auditor, a charter officer position. And I look forward to supporting you.
Very good. Now let's call the roll.
Councilmember Kaplan. Councilmember Tao. Mayor Pro Tem Talamantes.
Proud, yes.
Councilmember Valenzuela.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Maple.
Yes.
Councilmember Guerra.
Aye.
Councilmember Jennings.
Yes.
Councilmember Vang.
Congratulations, yes.
Mayor Steinberg.
Yes. All right, congratulations. You want to say anything? No. Okay. Just want to make sure you had that opportunity. Okay, we've got council ideas and questions. I know I want to put one on the record, and Councilmember Valenzuela mentioned it in a prior debate. I want to agendize, Madam Clerk, as you're leaving. This will be on the record. It's okay. A workshop to discuss the mixed income housing ordinance here. This needs to be discussed and some direction given. We need to work out the date, whether it's the 29th or whatever date, but I want to do that. And I'd ask the city manager, please, to make sure that the staff is present. I think it can be informal. I think we want to just talk about all the things that have been discussed over the last months and years and what some of the potential options are, and have a council and public discussion, and maybe set some direction so that the next council is ready to take appropriate action. Needs to be discussed by the city council. Okay? Very good. That's my comment. Do we have other council comments, ideas, and questions? Do we have public testimony on items not on the agenda?
We do, thank you. As your name.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sean?
Just announcement events.
Well, why don't we hear the public testimony, then we'll come back to the council ideas and questions.
Thank you. As your name is called, please line up behind the podium. First speaker is Michael Bevins, followed by Billy Baker, then Patrick Ferris.
Hello, Council. First time here. I'd like to start off by saying I am a member of your current City Management Academy class, so this is kind of, I guess, what the graduation might be like, to come up here and address the council. I look forward to, I guess, the mayor and maybe the manager will be at the last week. Looking forward to see you then. My topic today is, for you to consider, is vertical infrastructure, poles. And when you dream about tonight, I want you to dream about poles. We have a tree canopy problem, at least that's what I hear, and we can plant a tree, but it'll take, 10, 20 years before the tree provides shade, but we can provide shade, which is why we want a tree canopy right now. Just plant a pole. Put an umbrella on it, put two poles together, put some wires together, cover the wires, you got a canopy. Go along the whole street and cover the sidewalk. Other uses for poles, when we have a lot of pedestrian fatalities, traffic, they make great barricades. They're short poles are called bollards. You put a bunch of those together, you have a barricade. Separate the fast traffic of cars from the pedestrians and the bicyclists. And if you want a natural tree, if we're going back to the tree idea, you could put wires on the pole, and like you do in your backyard, you got some ivy. That ivy will grow. And that ivy can be like a temporary tree, short-lived, but it'll grow faster than a tree will, and it provides some shade. And if you even be pretty, you can have it across the street. You have a tree canopy of ivy. So that's another use for a pole. What was the shade? Oh, the other one is on top of the pole for our safety. Also, you can do cameras on top of the poles at intersections. Great measurement of city, what's going on, so we can study the traffic problems. Use city cameras to study pedestrian fatalities.
Thank you for your comment. Your time is now complete. Our next speaker is Billy Baker, followed by Patrick Ferris, then Lambert.
I'm here personally as a resident of the Marisol Village Apartments. We have contacted, I know, the apartment managers and several of our residents have contacted the city numerous times. We have a homeless encampment that is putting our community in danger. They have propane tanks. They have a vicious dog out there. They're blocking most of the street there. We have construction crews coming in and out that gate there, working on our buildings. We have, like I said, all we're getting from the city is there's nothing the city can do about it. Why? Why can't the city come out there and make that homeless encampment move where our children could go to the playground and play and not have to worry about it? That is my concern. That is what I am asking the city council. Why can't y'all go out there and do your job and move them out of our community.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Patrick Ferris, followed by Lambert, then Ron Emsley.
I'd like to say thank you to the City Council. I want to start out by saying I believe that our council has let our city down. I've contacted several of the Congress reps, no response. It's sad to say they wanted our votes, but they're not here to help our city. We have actually been impacted greatly with the consistent raise of high rental costs, leaving Sacramento residents without a place to live. Many of our veterans and our homeless adults are living on the streets. I mean, several of the homeless people, actually women, have been raped near your area here. There's a lot of stuff going on. It says right here, and I did the research. It says Sacramento was nearly double the national average. The studies of rental increased Sacramento by a whopping $587. That's at 69%. National is 36%, Sacramento with the highest of 69%. We have the highest rank for the highest rent. I mean, this is ridiculous. Low wages, but high rent. And you guys think that it's amusing. And when you look at some of the people, they're talking about leaving California. Nearly 700,000 people left California last year. California's population stalls at 39 million. Says ABC 10 News, why does it seem like everybody's moving out of California? Because of high taxes, high cost of living. 53% of California residents say they're considering moving out of California because of the high rental. You guys don't see a problem with this? We have more homeless people than we do people working. People don't have jobs because we're making it so difficult. We can't even go into restaurants because there's no way to get in because of homeless people. What are you guys planning on doing? Letting it get worse than what it is? You guys are making jobs lapse. People are shutting down businesses. You guys don't want to help.
Thank you for your comment. Your time is now complete. Our next speaker is Lambert, followed by Ron Emsley.
Make sure that I get my 2 minutes. First of all, I want to say thank you to City Councilwoman Mai Vang. I had no idea the city manager was not held accountable for the Brown Act until today. If that's true, that's the reason why we don't hear the city manager's report. He doesn't have to acknowledge it. And another thing is, tonight, I would think that a person who's asking for an extension would speak to the public. Soon as it was over, he left. That's dereliction of duty on display. I have the utmost respect for City Councilwoman Valenzuela. You will be missed, that type of integrity. And to me, the only person who should get a raise and an extension other than Mayor Steinberg, if he was returning, would be Minty Cuppy. Why do I say Minty Cuppy? If she wasn't doing what she was doing, I'd throw her under the bus too. She used to sit over here during the pandemic, and I bet you she can work remotely with integrity and operate the technology. Some of you had difficulty working remotely with technology. It was apparent. And I have to say this to Mayor and also City Councilman Tao. I cannot emphasize to you how difficult it's been for us to go viral with no money. Our family is not wealthy, but some very well-connected people in Southern California fell in love with our granddaughter's song, which I played here. I didn't even understand TikTok, but this summer I did because I had to hustle all summer to plant seeds. We need your help, City Councilman Tao and Mayor Steinberg. Both of you have integrity with me. That's it.
Thank you for your comment. Our last speaker is Ron Emsley.
I'd like to thank you for pronouncing my name right. Mindy kind of messes it up every time, and I don't know. I don't think too good of her. Anyway, if you have gas and you compress it, it heats up. if you have resources and there's more people using those resources, traffic kind of heats up. So you're trying to compress all of these people into a city that was made for less, the streets. And you try everything you can. You know, you coordinate traffic lights and things like that. But if you could only find a place to put these people, like buy some property and create a new city so that you don't have all of this traffic that's trying to get through, and they find out that they can't because they've been living here 50, 60 years and they're used to the old way. So what happens? They run red lights. They run over cyclists. They run over pedestrians because it's dog eat dog. So don't compress. Don't put as many people as you can cram into a city that is not comfortable with that. Thank you. You be good now.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to council ideas and questions. Councilmember Tao.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to thank Del Paso Heights Community Association for helping our office host movie night last Friday in the Triangle Park. You know, Triangle Park was a tough park in our neighborhood to activate, and we were able to get around 200 kids to come out and enjoy that, and so really bring out resources to the kids and the community there. This Thursday, October 17th, we're partnering with Neighborhood Wellness to host an empowerment and transform disrupting intergenerational drama and poverty and trauma in the community. I invite everyone to come out 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 133 Grand Avenue, Sacramento, California, 95838. It's really essential to discuss about the historic trauma in Del Paso Heights in the community, as well as the fentanyl crisis and the war on drugs, and how it really affects the community over time. And so I encourage everybody to come out and participate. And that'll be all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Sean. Is there anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. If there's nothing else to come before the city council.
Happy birthday, Mayor.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mayor.
Almost.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mayor. Happy birthday.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am today officially a senior citizen. Dinner at my table will now begin at 4 o'clock every day. And it's all good, really. Very, very grateful. Grateful to all of you and the public. Thank you so much, everyone. We're adjourned.